Amen. One of the questions I've received is, how do we get the angel of Revelation 18 to come down at 9/11? How does that work? Why would we ask such a question? Why would someone ask a question like that? The question I've been asked is the angel of Revelation 18 verses 1 to 3. How do we get the idea that that angel comes down at 9/11? We've taught that for a very long time now. The question is, how do we develop that? How does that understanding come about? And my question is, why would someone ask such a question? I'll ask a random person. Sister Shemaine, why would someone ask a question like that? The question is, why do we mark Revelation 18 verses 1 to 3? The angel that comes down and lightens the earth with his glory. Why would we mark that at 9/11? Why would someone ask that question?
Because Ellen White says that the Sunday law.
So if we go to the Great Controversy, she said because Ellen White places it somewhere else. So if you go to Great Controversy, I think it's page 603. If you're working on an application, it's chapter 38. GC, Great Controversy, chapter 38. And I believe that it's 603, yes.
What paragraph?
Paragraph 1, yeah.
Thank you.
603. The final warning. So the reason why I want to mention this is, how do we approach inspiration when we read? Now when you come and when you come to this passage and you've been in the movement for a long time, and you're being told or taught over and over again that the angel of Revelation 18 comes down at 9/11, then you come to this passage and it says the final warning. Saw another angel come down from heaven having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. He cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, become the habitation of devils, and hold of every foul spirit, the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Revelation 18 verses 1, 2 and 4. How would you approach that passage? If you were taught that this angel came down at 9/11 and the chapter title is the final warning. Let's work through some of this. So the first thing is, when this is the chapter, the final warning, where are we in history? So if we were to go to the next paragraph, she begins to lay this out. This scripture points forward to a time when the announcement of the fall of Babylon is made by the second angel of Revelation 14 is repeated, with the additional mention of the corruptions which have been entering the churches since the summer of 1844. So this is obviously a period after 1844. It doesn't quite define when it is. Terrible condition of the religious world is here described. With every rejection of truth, the minds of people have become darker, their hearts more stubborn. In defiance of the warnings which God has given, they will continue to trample upon one of the precepts. Yeah, no, I missed a lot of words, yeah. Of one of the precepts of the Decalogue, until they are led to persecute those who hold it sacred. Christ is set at naught in the contempt placed upon his word and his people. As the teachings of spiritualism are accepted by the churches, the restraint imposed upon the carnal heart is removed, and the profession of religion will become a cloak to conceal the basest iniquity. Belief in spiritualism a belief in spiritual manifestations opens the doors to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils, and thus the influence of evil angels will be felt in the churches. Of Babylon at the time brought to view in this prophecy, it is declared that her sins have reached unto heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. She's filled up the measure of her guilt. I'm going to skip to the next paragraph. Fearful is the issue to which the world is to be brought. The powers of earth, uniting to war against the commandments of God, will decree that all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, shall conform to the customs of the church by the observance of the false Sabbath. So, tell me when she's placing this chapter the final warning. When is this?
Sunday law.
So we're all okay with this is the Sunday law. That's the framework of this chapter. So the question is, the lead paragraph is not even an Ellen White statement, it's a Bible verse. 2 verses in fact, 1, 2 and 4. So what is she saying about the lead sentence in the context of the Sunday law? Is she saying this? Here's the Sunday law, and Revelation 18 is here all the way through. Like a progressive history. Or is she saying it's all happening at the Sunday law? Is it option 1 or option 2?
2. I think.
So Sister Shamila says it's 2. When did the angel of Revelation 18 come?
I thought 9/11. I was thinking.
Sister Pascal? How do you approach this passage?
When I read the passage, I think that Revelation.
Just a little bit louder so they can hear you at the back.
Sorry. When I read the passage, my deduction is that Revelation 18 is at the point of the Sunday law.
So number 1.
Yes.
Brother Aaron?
Number 1.
Number 1. So most people are favouring number 1. And I would suggest the reason why they're favouring that is because that's the natural reading that you would take from this passage. You'd have to add in information that's not really there to draw this back into a previous history.
So can you, the question that you asked to lead you to draw that, can you repeat it, please?
So, the subject of this chapter is the Sunday law, the final warning. In fact, the final warning is Revelation 18 verse 4. It's the final warning to the world given by God's church. So we've established that, if you're okay with that proof that we've used. It's not even proof, we just read down a few paragraphs and you can determine that. So the question is, when you go back to the lead paragraph and it says the angel comes down, and I think it talks about, it says things like the condition of the church or the condition of the world or of Babylon at the time brought to view in this prophecy. When it uses all that phraseology, is it talking about a period before the Sunday law or a period at the Sunday law? That's my question.
Why would it be after? Because it's a warning telling us something is ahead of us. So how can it then be a warning after the warning has passed by? I don't understand how it could be 1. Because usually warnings, they foretell the future. So that is the only reason I was saying it was ahead of the Sunday law as opposed to afterwards.
So Sister Shamila's argument is, or question, is it's a bit late here warning the people, should have warned them beforehand.
Why? Because the Sunday law is not the close of probation. So the warning can arrive here. I know, it's why I said when I read the passage, because I know that angel of Revelation 18 arrived at 9/11. But when you read the passage, you can see that.
You cannot see
You
that.
cannot see that, yes.
Brother Aaron?
Same thing. I think his warning for the close of probation is coming, and it's saying that Babylon has fallen, so come out of her, because the Sunday law, we're in that time period already.
Sister Shamila?
Um,
Who's your target audience in this passage?
is this the general close of the general line? Sorry, on a large scale.
Chapter 38
Yeah.
is the USA Sunday law,
Right. Okay.
1141. That's what.
Yeah,
That's what's being
and I
referred
read
to
it
here.
to be as the final warning, the Sunday law on a universal level. Sorry, the USA. And when it says, "I saw another angel come down from having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory," are we not taking into account the glory that had come down when the mighty angel of Revelation 18 had descended 9/11? Are we not to take that into account, that history?
You tell me how you read it.
Okay, if it is on the large scale, then I would have to say, it wouldn't be 9/11 then in that
So
case.
you said large scale. I'm just saying I don't know any other scale. It's just the scale of Ellen White. If you want to.
Yeah,
put that
Ellen White's
large.
scale is... I'd have to change my mind, and I would change it to post Sunday law.
Number one.
Yeah,
Okay, so we're all on the same page then.
yeah.
Sister Cedric?
Sorry, I can't actually find it. Is this the final warning?
Yeah.
So I just got it now. So I've got to read it.
Anyone else?
First, second, and third.
So I've got an opinion or a question? So Ellen White's going to place it here at the Sunday law, if we're all in agreement with that. So Sister Shemaine's question is, why are we putting it at 9/11 then? That's her question.
I did that, and that was my mistake.
So, but you've corrected that, that's fine.
Yeah.
So why are we putting it at 9/11? I don't mean from this passage, because this passage, the great controversy, 603, puts it here. So how are we putting it here? How we moved it back?
We haven't.
Sorry?
We haven't.
We haven't?
We're marking when it begins. It's like we're marking when it begins its descent, basically. That's how I've understood it.
We're marking when it begins its descent. So it hasn't descended yet.
No, as in we mark when it begins its work. That's how I've always understood it.
So we're marking when it begins its work. And Ellen White is doing what?
I guess she's looking at it when it's just like, you know, when we say second angel's second angel came 19th of April, but then we read they started preaching it the summer of 1844. It doesn't remove the fact that it came into history. That message became present truth 19th of April, even though they preached at a later date. So that's how I'm viewing that in a similar way.
So this is the arrival, and this is the empowerment.
Possibly, I could see it like that.
Well, when you just did Millerite line, that's what you said.
But the way I understand the message is, they arrive in history to prepare the people to give that message. That's how I've always understood it.
Well, that's what you just did. You did April the 19th in the summer of 44. So I just did the same thing. I just thought arrival and empowerment.
I didn't say 2 either, I just said,
So what happens in the summer of 44?
I guess they recognise this present truth and they recognise now's the time to preach that message.
Is that the empowerment of the second angel?
Yeah.
You can just go to early writings and go to the passage, it will tell you that. It's not, I'm not trying to trick you.
Sorry, I've just picked attention. But it says Babylon is fallen, that's when the tower fell. So I think that's why we took it 9/11, basically. I don't know. Because Ellen White say mentioned in another text that
So we're going to go to another text.
Yes.
So we'll go
well,
to,
to relate to
Yeah. so I'd say we're going to go to another text
yeah where she
to
said
do that work,
yeah.
to find it.
Well, I mean here it said Babylon is fallen. So
Yeah, so I understand.
Yeah.
So we'll go to another text, which would be Testimonies to Church, Volume 9, page 13,
I don't have it here.
and Life Sketches, page 411, paragraph 1. I think it's paragraph 2, it may be not 2.
We also go to 7 BC 971.6, speaking of the seven thunders.
Seven Thunders is going to be Revelation 18.
It speaks of the first and second angels' messages. But that might just be, actually could be, yeah, it can apply to our history as well as opposed to Millerite history. Okay, that might not be correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not point 1, but
I'll leave
point
that.
Point 1? 5. 13.5?
No, for life.
Oh, 11.5. Okay, thank you. Does anybody know what it else is? I keep getting told off. It's Review and Herald, July, is it 1904?
Fifth.
July 5th, I think,
I
yes?
think it is, yeah.
Okay, so in some way we're going to have to get this second angel, or Revelation 18, from here back. So how are we going to do that? So we've got some Spirit of Prophecy quotes. Any thoughts, Sister Shemaine? Or are you saying this short?
To how we place it at 9/11?
Yes.
Fractalize, no?
Going to fractalize. You go and show me how to fractalize that.
You put Revelation 18, 1 to 3 at 9/11. Yeah, and
That's is that fractal? Is that not fractal? What's that? It's not going to help you, he said. That's what they said. Okay, so remember this structure that we had. The arrival of the second angel. And it's going to run through history until what happens? It becomes empowered. This is the Millerite history. And this is our history. You okay with that, Sister Shemaine? Yes? So, we've got a pattern here. In the Millerite history, this arrival of the second angel, where Ellen White says it was only partially fulfilled, not completely fulfilled, its work. What do we know about that? That Sister Daisy just mentioned.
he arrived and it's empowered.
So it's arrival and it's empowerment. So if we've got one testimony and another testimony, what are we saying about the end of the world? It has to follow the same pattern. So we should expect to see an arrival and an empowerment. So what we're saying in this history here, even though we've got two separate waymarks, it's essentially, they're not steps, it's just a fluid movement of the angel as it moves through history. So all of this is just a fluid movement from its arrival to its empowerment. And Sister Daisy, how are you marking the empowerment? Because you didn't want to use empowerment, you wanted to say what? The summer of 44.
guess that's when they.
You didn't want to use you used another word before.
What did I say? It's when they recognised it was present true. Is that what I said?
What did she say? She said speak. I'm pretty sure you said speak. So it begins to speak here. So in this history, it goes from silent to speaking. Once it begins to speak, what does it do all the way through history? I mean, we've had probably millions or hundreds of thousands of evangelistic campaigns over the last 100+ years. And what have we been saying at every one of those campaigns? Babylon is fallen. Yeah, we've been preaching it for a long time. Babylon is fallen. All the way through, we've been speaking all through his history. Then we come to a time, and we read that in Acts of the Apostles, 54, 55, not in this context, because we read it in the context of reign, that at the end there's going to be a special manifestation or bestowal of power or information. So what is this special information that we have in? That Babylon is about to fill its cup. If we're okay to express it that way. So Babylon's filling its cup. So here, we know Babylon's going to fill its cup. This is Revelation 18. And this is Revelation 14. When it's filled its cup, what we're going to see is that filling of its cup is going to be, again, just this fluid movement from a 2A to a 2E. But here it says, it's become the cage of every hateful bird and the hold of every foul spirit. So what we're marking here is these two steps as it moves into the history of the 144,000. Remember, we've said that this was given to us in the summer of 1844. This, I'll do it dotted because it is given to us, but you have to do a bit of detective work. She says it's after the disappointment of April. But I'm not saying it's just at any random point afterwards. It's on April the 19th. She doesn't tell you it's on April the 19th. She doesn't tell you what month that is, but she says it's the summer. But we have testimony from the Millerite to identify when that happens. This would be July 21st, midway between April and October. So I'm saying we've been given this one as well, but I put it in dotted because it has, we have to work this one out, but we've got a lot of evidence. Then we have this information given to us. It arrived, but it was incomplete. And when Ellen White says either incomplete or not perfectly fulfilled, sometimes we use this word perfect and we change, or not perfect, and we change it to imperfect. And the word imperfect, if you're not careful, can generate thoughts in your mind, obviously it will, to make you think that there was something wrong with it. And I'm saying that the word imperfect actually means not complete, as in a cup. You've got a cup and there's wine in it. This is all evil, but it's a perfectly evil cup, but it's perfectly evil wine. It's just not full. Therefore, it's not perfect. Ellen White's using perfection in the sense of completion, not in the sense of not of the same quality, if we can see that. But I want to say, in that history, in that dispensation, the cup is full here in the summer of 44. So in its mini story, the cup's like this, and by the time you get to the summer, it's full. I say here, but it's been, this cup has been filling up for some time, so it's not empty quite here, it's partially filled, but by the time you get here, it's completely full. But on the scale of things, here, it's only partially fulfilled. It's partial fulfillment, not perfectly fulfilled. By the time you get to here, it's perfectly fulfilled. But this is a lot of history. So when we talk about its perfect fulfillment, what we're saying is that at this way mark, for sure, it's perfectly full. But here, is it perfectly full or not? That's what we want to ask ourselves. Is it perfectly full here, where this 2A is? Or not?
Not yet.
So it's not perfectly full. If it's not perfectly full, you can't say Revelation 18. Revelation 18 says it is. So is it or is it not?
It's gonna be.
So, okay, so it's got to be. So it's full all the way through. So it's been full for a long time. So using these quotes, you can mark the second angel here, Revelation 18, and the cup is full. But here the cup is full. And I want to suggest that it's this modelling that allows you to pick up that you should see the second angel, Revelation 18, at the end of the world, coming in 2 steps. I say 2 steps, but it's just really one step. It's one fluid step. It begins here, and it just goes all the way through, which is, I think, what Sister Daisy was saying anyway. She says it just starts here and it just carries on. There's no increase, or it's not getting worse. So the question is, why do we do this 9/11? What's the purpose of it if it would be perfectly served here with this 2E at the Sunday law?
So in regard to the cups you drawn, you saying that the cup in that first section is the same cup as the one in the second section?
Same cup.
Same level of fullness, you mean, same level of quantity.
Okay, I'm going to say yes, I think. Tell me what you think.
Because in Revelation 18 it says, double unto her double, and in the cup that she's filled, so it's for her double. I don't know if you're drawing out that there's 2 different cups, or if it's...
Oh no, I'm trying to just say it's the same cup. I'm just trying to say, like, it's the same cup.
So can you go over how the cup was full at 2E at the Millerites?
So let me ask this question then. Let's go back to this one. Do you agree that the cup was not fully full there? Or was it full?
No, they hadn't fully received God's displeasure. That's
They
what-
haven't.
They hadn't at that point.
So why is the angel coming down then?
No, in the Millerite time, they hadn't.
The angel coming down here, why is it coming down if they're not filled it?
It's not Revelation 18 angel, is it?
Sorry?
It's not Revelation 18 angel.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When it says Babylon is fallen, what does that mean?
It's
It's like partially fallen or it's fully fallen?
Well, it said Babylon is fallen. So there's a 2-stage to its falling. So it's partially fallen. The next fallen is Revelation 18 part.
So the next part is Revelation 18 part.
Yeah, when it's fallen, when it's the second fallen.
Okay.
I don't think it's partially. I think when it says it's fallen, that it hasn't been empowered. I mean, 9/11 was in a way like the former reign.
Oh, I'm not in 9/11.
No,
I'm on April the 19th. I'm asking, is this cup full or not?
April the 19th of 1844.
Yeah.
That's the.
Okay, stop with that one. We agree it's full here, the Sunday law. Is it full here?
Yeah,
Why?
because it's the what is not the remnant, but it's the consequence of the first bit.
Okay, so if it's full here,
Yeah.
is it full here?
Not necessarily, because that's when the angel comes and that's when it gets.
That's when the angel came.
Okay, whether it's full.
It's full here?
Well,
did you?
You draw that it's not.
No, that's why I'm asking. If you're happy with that diagram.
Well,
said
I think it's a progressive thing. Not that the cup is full. The cup is full. The cup is full. But the consequence of the cup being full.
I'm not asking about consequence of wait, but I'm just like, is it full or not?
Well, yeah,
So it's full here.
yeah.
Brother Aaron?
I think it's full for the churches. In the Millerite time, the churches were fully full and they had rejected the first and second angel's message.
Yeah,
So it's full here.
because
Yes, for the churches.
when they closed the door in 1844. That was it.
Did you finish your point?
Well, I was going to then, just thinking, that it's perfectly fallen at the end because you have the state added, because Babylon is a threefold union. Because their doctrines don't change, they don't get worse or anything. So I think it's along those lines.
I don't understand what you just said. I understand about the state, but I'm just asking, is the cup full here?
Yes.
And is it full here?
Yeah.
So it's full, it's full in all places.
Well, I'm going down that line because you said underneath 2A it's full, but I was surprised. I didn't think it would be.
Well, if it wasn't full and this was 9/11, you can't have said it's the cage is full. You couldn't say the words then, could you?
So the words say that it's full at 9/11.
If you say Revelation 18, then it does.
So then again, the only way I'm thinking to make this work is that the state part of Babylon are falling.
I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to work it all the way through. I'm not trying to do that. I just want to know what we'd do here. Elder Jeff, you had some comment.
I could be wrong, but I think the arrival of the second angel marks when the first angel's message was rejected, and that's marking where the Protestants have filled up their cup of probationary time. That cup's full. They become the daughters of Babylon.
Yeah. Close of probation for them. Door is closed for them.
Professor?
Yeah.
Sorry, yes.
Yes, so that the fall was a partial fall. And I suppose you can look at the fall in two stages. If I push you, you fall, and then you go on the floor. And Ellen White describes it as the church had a partial fall, but she wasn't yet completely fallen.
Partial fall in what comparison? Compared to what?
That the cup's full, which is the end of your line there. So at the beginning there, she's fallen, but she hasn't filled up the cup. Basically.
So that's wrong, they're not full.
I think. Can I just read how she phrases it?
Sorry?
Can I read how she phrases it and then let her?
Well, you can not let her, because you can't interpret it what she's saying.
Yeah, well, you don't like the way I'm interpreting it, so.
No, I didn't say I didn't like it. What I said was,
yeah, the cup
if
is
it's full here, you said it's not full here because it's partial.
It's full there, but it's not full to the description that the verse is given, where it's incurring the judgments of God.
I just asked about the fullness. Is it
Okay.
full or is it not full?
Yeah, it's full.
So
But
why
it doesn't
do you
meet
mean the word? Why do you mean the word partial then?
It's full, but it doesn't meet the description of full as Revelation 18 is given it. I
Okay,
can
so it's
explain it
full
that
and it's
way.
full.
Yes, but not in the capacity of Revelation 18. Is it full there? You don't like how?
It's not that I don't like it, I just don't understand. Brother Tom?
Should I read it?
No, I could read it as well. I don't need to read it, I don't need to explain it.
That's how she explains it. She says they didn't fully fulfill.
Its perfect fulfillment is yet future.
Yeah.
So how can it be full then?
But that fall, she said, but that fall was not complete. So how can you have a fall that's not complete?
I'm asking you that question.
So there's two stages. If I push you, you fell.
So they're not falling here? Because when you say you're full, you're saying I'm sort of like falling, I'm not falling.
I'm not using the
you did, you said you push someone.
You fell.
They fell here.
You fell from your standing position. You fell.
So they were
Doesn't
flat
necessarily
on their
mean you're on the floor, but it means you fell.
No, that
Yes,
means
it
you're
does.
falling.
I'm not using Okay.
Yes, you are. You're saying you're falling, and by the time you get here, you're fully on your face.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put my hands up. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
So your cup isn't full here, because a full cup means you're flat on your face.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll tell you how I see it.
Yeah.
When she says it's not complete, it's about our terms of reference. In this history, you're falling flat on your face. But compared to this history, you're not. It's a subject of scale. This is why you've got two testimonies. At this scale, it's not. At this scale, it is. And even then, when we say it's not perfectly fulfilled, there's dynamics about that, because if it wasn't perfectly fulfilled, you wouldn't be able to have 4 cups here.
So it's perfectly fulfilled according to that history, you're saying? Yeah, okay, yeah.
How about Aaron?
So in what way is it fuller, or no, in what way is it worse at the end? Because I was thinking that, but I disregarded it because I thought it's not like they're stealing at the end, but they weren't stealing at the Millerite time. Or they're doing child abuse at the end, but they weren't in the Millerite time. All the sins of the church are the same. So that's why I went for that. Their cup, it's worse at the end because church and state unite, the threefold union. They have the dragon and the beast.
So let me ask you a question based on what you said. Is it worse in quality or quantity?
Quantity.
I don't know. The only way I'm thinking it's worse is that they've joined with the state. I don't know if that's quality or quantity, or it's probably both, isn't it?
She's got more on her side at that
Because the
point.
churches were fully fallen in the Millerite time. And they haven't really got any worse, unless you're going to say drummers are worse or something. But their doctrines, I don't think, are particularly worse.
Sister Kathy?
The way I see it in my mind is that at each stage there is a perfect fulfillment, but we, at the end of the world, will be the culmination of all those fulfillments, and that we will be the complete fulfillment at the end of the world. And even though they are perfect in their realm, in their time period, they're still not going to be that perfect fulfillment as we will be at the very end. And that's how I see it.
What I said that on the first, the destruction is not complete. It is it's a complete destruction, but not complete. If you see what I mean?
Yes, I think that's exactly what Sister Kathy
that's what
said.
I wanted to say
Yes.
at the beginning.
Perfect in its sphere, in
Yeah.
its dispensation. But there's some more to go.
Yeah.
The issue isn't even Sunday here, is
Yeah.
it really?
It's like a pre-taste of.
For Stephen?
Yeah, I have an idea that you could maybe link it to Lucifer.
Sorry?
You could maybe link it to being like Lucifer, in that he fell from heaven. So in a sense that could be like the time from the Millerites. But then maybe like the cross is his evil was fully manifest to all the angels and all the world. And so like in Revelation 18, most of the world doesn't know that the Protestants have fallen, but come the angels of Revelation 18, that it's then manifest how their cup is full.
So Sister Shemaine, are you okay with this logic so far? Is there something you don't understand that needs clarifying, or none of it makes sense, or it's good? So the question is, how do we get Revelation 18 angel at 9:11? I'm saying it's based upon this modelling that you expect to see an arrival of this message. And Ellen White gives us this one very clearly here in the Great Controversy. This is the Sunday law. So this one we have to find. And it's these passages here, it's only 2, not 3, is what gives us this waymark.
So only question is, I thought that the empowerment was 4 and 5, not 1 to 3.
The empowerment of what?
Revelation 18.
No, when you say the empowerment of what message?
Second, in our...
Revelation 4 and 5 is not the second angel's message.
So what message is?
That's just a separate
But
message.
each
Not the
one-
first, second or third.
Each one's yoga, it's many voices you can...
He doesn't join the second, he joins the third. So he's disconnected and separate from the second.
Okay.
The second joins the third, and this other message, 4 and 5, this other voice joins the third as well. So you had 3 different voices coming together at once. 2 of them join the third message, which is different to Millerite history.
So what is changing if we take it with the first century? We say Revelation 14, 6 to 7, but the empowerment is Revelation 10. So in this model, we place the same with the same verse and chapter in both.
Which history are you talking about?
Our history.
So if you're talking about our history,
Yeah.
what you have is the third angel running through history.
Yeah.
Then you get
The second-
this angel coming down here, which is 2E, this one.
Mhm.
And then at a later date, you get another message here, which I'll just put message.
No, but I was talking about with Zara, so you have to go
This
back-
one here?
Yeah, go back to your line and it's.
So if you go to this one, that's 2A.
And the 2E is the same version.
The 2E would be here.
Yeah. Yeah, but my point is Revelation 18, 1 to 3 is the same. You know?
Yes, it's the same here.
Yeah. And for the Millerite, for the example we took this morning, it was Revelation 14 and after Revelation 10. You've got 2 different chapters, you know? You understand what I mean?
Revelation 14, Revelation 10, yes.
Yes, so I think that you will have the same structure, you know, 2 different chapters or 2 different verses.
It's
to
different.
to show the empowerment, to difference the arrival to the empowerment.
Okay, so let me try to.
Because you took,
yeah,
we are taking the same
I'm not going to
verse.
be able to find the passage, I
That's
don't
fine.
think. When you go to the Millerite history, here, you're going to do this, which is Revelation 14, verse 8. Here, 2a. When you go to 2e, you're asking what passage of scripture you're going to use here?
Mm.
I'm probably not going to be able to find it quick enough. But it's not from Revelation. Did anybody know off the top of their head?
Which quote is it?
Yeah, that's my question.
What are you looking for?
What Bible verse is used here for the empowerment of the second angel in Millerite history? It's not taken. I don't think it's taken from Revelation.
Is it a Bible verse?
Yeah, Bible verse.
Is it the one that talks about the midnight cry?
So, in one passage, this is Matthew 25, and I don't know what verse this is. I think it's verse 6. Oh no, wait there. No, let me check. It's not that. It's 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, sorry. 2 Corinthians 6:17. So this is taken from Early Writings 242, paragraph 1. Second Corinthians chapter 2 verse 16. 2 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 17. So I'll read it to you. Then I heard a voice saying to those who had been pushed and derided, come out from among them and touch not the unclean. In obedience to this voice, a large number broke the cords which bound them, and leaving the companies that were in darkness, joined those who had previously gained their freedom, and joyfully united their voices with them. I dropped down a bit. The answer from them as they earnestly looked to heaven and pointed upward was, come out from among them and be ye separate. So individuals struggling for freedom, and at last they broke the cords that bound them. So I'm saying in that history, this call to come out, which in our history is 18, 4 and 5, the verses that she's going to use is 2 Corinthians 6:17. She mentions Matthew 25, behold the bridegroom cometh, separate to that one, but it's 2 Corinthians, which would be the parallel passage.
What about Isaiah 66 verse 5?
I don't think they use that.
Oh,
I'm only going by a spirit protocol on what they use.
She does use that verse actually, Isaiah 66 verse 5. Talking about when they were cast out of the churches.
Says what?
Has
come out?
No, it just says when they were cast out. Talks about when they were cast out. And I think she's referring to that time when they were chucked out by the brethren.
Where are you finding that passage? Where are you reading from?
Isaiah 66.
No, where are you reading from?
I just remember listening to it.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think they're kicked out here. I'm not sure. I'd have to check if it is.
Okay, well she quotes that verse anyway in regards to...
Yeah, but I'm not sure if it's that history. That's what I'm
okay.
saying. I don't know if it's that history without knowing.
Alright.
I'm only going for one that I do know. So Sister Shemaine, I don't know if that answered your question.
So, maybe I went to it. Yeah, maybe not say anything. On camera. So why are you saying these verses are empowering the second angel? Is it because they're in connection?
She says, I didn't say it. I'm just...
I mean, are you saying, is it because it's in connection?
Which verses?
2 Corinthians 6:17.
If you read the passage, that's what she's doing. That's what she says. So when these angels come down and these voices come, and it's the empowerment of the second. It'll take a while to read through the passage.
Okay, so you're saying in this passage it will say that this is what empowered the second angel?
I can read it to you. I saw a number of angels conversing with the one who had cried, Babylon is fallen, and these united with him in the cry, behold, the bridegroom cometh, go you out to meet him. The musical voices of these angels seemed to reach everywhere, and exceeding bright and glorious light shone around those who had cherished the light which had been imparted to them. Their faces shone with excellent glory, and they united with the angels in the cry, behold, the bridegroom cometh. So I just dropped down. Then I heard a voice saying to those who had been pushed and derided, come out from among them and touch not the unclean. So if you, even though you don't see it directly in this passage, you'll see it in another passage where she overlays this, and she'll say this was the empowerment of the second angel. I'm not teaching anything funny, this is just standard.
Isn't that?
Nothing surprising here, Sister Daisy? I'm not teaching anything new. All I'm just giving you is the verses and the structure of it.
But you just told me the environment is Revelation 18, 1-3, and you what, 4-5? You told me 4-5, it's not the second.
So, I don't know if everybody picked what Sister Shemaine's saying. So all I want to say is, if you're okay with that so far, presumably you're okay with that. Why is this even happening? Why is 9/11 even happening? Because here we've done it in the context of arrival and empowerment. I want to put a break here, and I want to say first the church, then the world. So all of this here, this message, is not just an arrival or empowerment when it comes to our line. this is about a message given to the church. This is a message given to the world. That's why she calls it the final warning in Great Controversy 603. Because when we come to this, and we're going to put a fractal on top, make this into a fractal, you're going to get to a date, which is what? 2014. 2014, we're going to mark as 2E. So, even though I've marked this like a 2A, or what I'm trying to say is that the second angel arrived here, and yeah, I think probably I shouldn't call that 2E. That was not a good thing. This is the second angel's message. Let me call it that. And this is another message. That's technically how it should be. When it comes to here, it is 2A and 2E. So these line up that way. This empowers the second angel, but this empowers the third angel. Sorry, I'm sent you in the wrong direction. This is the second angel here. So, some have said fractalizing this, and I don't think it's that straightforward to fractalize it, because 9/11, I'm suggesting, is not a fractal waymark, if people know what that means. If I do the church, you have 9/11 and what? 2014. And if you do the world, what's this waymark here for the world? This is still 9/11, and this is the National Sunday Law. So this serves a purpose for the church, and it serves a purpose for the world. So this would be the 2A, and this would be 2E, and this is still 2A and 2E. This is showing us that 9/11 is not a waymark at a fractal level, like 2014 is a fractal level, or Panium, or Raphia. All of those are fractal waymarks. 9/11 isn't. It's a primary waymark. And how did we establish 9/11? Remember we did this here? Time of the end, 1844. 1844 is a primary waymark because it initiates the former reign. 9/11 is a primary waymark because it initiates the former reign. It's not a fractal waymark. I know these things might seem confusing or trivial, but they are important because it's easy to trip up and make mistakes, especially when we start dealing with time setting, and to know what is a primary waymark and what is a fractal waymark or a secondary waymark. Okay, so this was just a Semane's question, so I need to go back and say, does that make sense? When we have 2A and 2E, it's not just saying 2A is 9/11 because we had those Spirit Prophecy quotes. There's something more subtle to it than that, because this is about the history of the church and this is about the history of the world. And therefore 9/11 for the church is 2A, and 2014 is 2E. But 9/11 is also 2A for the world, and the National Sunday Law is 2E for the world, because it's the final warning. And what's Ellen White going to give us? She's going to give us this one. She won't give us this because we developed this through fractals. So I'll put a question mark here. That means we have to find this one. This one here, she kind of gives us, but we still have to do some digging. But we're going to base this upon this principle of this period of time that we spoke about. The words give you the hard end point, but we're going to develop this into a period of time. So this is where we're getting 9/11 from. You can smile now and say that was good, or I get it.
Okay, thank you.
After all that.
So just to check, the answer is progression.
The answer is progression
Okay.
and application.
Yeah.
We haven't dealt with the application part of it, but it's about progression. It's to understand that there's a progressive worker, progressive worker, progressive worker. It's all about progression.
So it's about progression, and then to actually nail it down to 9/11 is making application.
Yeah.
That being said, what Aaron just said, progression. Can you not see then? You said the church there, and then the world there. If we say that Babylon did fall on the church side, and there was a Sunday law, which you're referring to, Revelation 18 is dealing with the Sunday law. There was a Sunday law at 9/11. Is it not the
No, I'm
same?
not saying there was a Sunday law at 9/11.
No, I'm saying that. So then, when you look at it,
I'd ask you to prove it. You're going to do that.
okay. Well, not now, but that was.
The only reason I say this is because I don't think you can. I don't say it glibly. The reason I would say that is because you'd have to demonstrate through a structure that you get a waymark. I don't think you can demonstrate it through a structure.
Then how do you do it for 2014 then?
Through a structure. With 2014, you can do it through a structure.
Okay.
You're not familiar with that?
One's a new concept and another one's an older concept, so I wasn't too sure how you got to one without seeing it in the other. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It avoids the point then.
Okay.
If you can do it quickly, like 2 minutes, then I wouldn't mind.
No, not me.
Then I was just wondering, unless you've said it and I've forgotten, how is it more full or worse in its realm at the end?
Okay, we didn't say that. So either you've got it in quantity, there are more people who've joined the cage, or in quality. And like you alluded, I think it's both. In qualitative terms, there's not an issue about Sunday, there's an issue about Sunday here. In quality, it's a lot worse. In quantity, it's a lot bigger, because now the cage is full.
So in quality it's worse. Basically I'm wondering, was I right? Is it because there's a Sunday law? Is it the state element of Babylon has now joined the church? Or
So you could argue the two horns, Protestantism and Republicanism, that's a valid argument.
okay.
But I was just saying at a simple level, there's no Sunday law issue here. This is the Sunday law. There's no mark of the beast. I don't know if you remember.
But there isn't one there though from in 2014.
This is a fractal. Remember, it has all the properties of it.
But 9/11 doesn't.
Unless you can show it at a fractal level.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Remember when we did first, second, and third angels' messages, and we did this. 1, 2, 3. The first has all the components of it. This is judgment, and this is judgment. But those judgments are different. This is the investigative judgment, and this one says the executive judgment, don't receive the mark of the beast because you're going to die. This one says you're about to be investigated, so prepare for it. So even though the judgments line up, they're different in nature. This is Revelation 14, verses 6 to 11, which is this little picture there. If there's no
So can I ask one last question? It's in Matthew 25. Do we have any sort of application in any way for how verses 8 and 9 look like, whether in Millerite history or just any sort of application for that?
Then all those virgins arose and trimmed their lamps, and the fool said unto the wise, give us of your oil, for our lamps are gone out. But the wise answered, saying, not so, lest there not be enough for us and you, but go you rather to them that sell and buy for yourselves. So you're asking, what does that look like?
Yeah, what's that? Is there any application for that? What does that look like? Do we have any ideas?
Sister Abby, do you remember? Because we've looked at this a few times.
Yeah, I didn't read the conclusion. But why is it not? the Millerites appeared at 1844. October 22nd.
Anybody have any thoughts?
Oh, Matthew 25, verses 7 to 9.
Didn't you say that the oil was like the grace, and then you were asking what grace, and you said it was the extra measure? That's what you were saying when you in Sister Steve, you said what grace, and you said grace is the extra measure of knowledge.
Yes, I understand it that the trimming of the lamps is studying your Bible, and these foolish virgins, even though they have a desire to learn and study, they're no longer able to.
But what does that look like?
Intellectually and spiritually settled into the truth.
Like an example, like a everyday example.
An everyday example.
That they cannot be moved.
I don't know, I just have a couple of thoughts. So I think Ellen White likens it to character, but then I think at the third step, like October 22nd, 1844, people's what's the word? Disposition towards the message was made manifest. So I don't know if we can, if you can align that, or if, like you're just saying about trimming the lamps, is studying the Bible more. When it came to the disappointment, people were looking for like new dates to reapply the 2300 days. For example, I don't know if that could be one of the.
This is trimming the lamps. Trimming the lamps is July, August, not the disappointment.
Yes, so trimming your lamps is Bible studying and getting more, putting the oil back in. So if you don't have oil, you don't have that message of this is the day that Christ is coming. If that makes sense, you don't. So that when you come after that, it's manifest that you didn't have oil. You're looking for different dates.
Brother Aaron?
After the just.
What does that mean, Pastor the just?
I think it lines up with 2014. So when you can't study your Bible properly anymore, that's what it looks like. I thought Daisy said, "Can we have an everyday example of how it looks?"
Yeah, but no one's coming to us saying, "Oh, can you show me what you guys have been learning quickly?" And we're like,
No, they don't say that. They don't say, actually, can you come and show us how you do these time setting stuff?
Yeah.
And we say, you'll show you, and they say, I don't get it.
I'm not sure if you can, because even when you're trimming the lamps, it doesn't look like you're actually cutting a wick or pouring oil. So it doesn't have to be that someone comes to you and actually asks you that phrase.
We just said it here, give us of your oil, for our lamps have gone out. They actually go to them and ask. And you say back to them, can't have any of mine. So there is a dialogue going on.
Say go to those who sell. So there's still people in a way giving the message, but they are not giving the message is not enough. You have to be prepared, transformed by it. So those the wise virgins have been transformed by it because they have trimmed their lamps and they're ready. But the other one, they still sell, they still give the message, but they are not ready. They are not.
Who's giving that message? Who's these other people giving the message that are in the world?
No, they are not in the world because
The buyers and sellers.
no, but yeah, but selling is not. When you say go and to those who sell, it's like those who give the message.
Yeah, so I'm saying, you're saying there's people outside of those 10 virgins.
Not outside the church. There are still people. They are not.
No, I didn't say the church. I said outside of those 5 virgins, there's other people
Yeah.
who are going to go to the wedding.
No. No, they.
So what's that oil that they're going to give them?
No, but among the people who give the message, or supposed
Parable doesn't teach that.
Well,
You've got to follow the rules of the parable.
yeah, but the parable says that we have to be prepared. The wise virgin are prepared, and the other one are not.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So
Yeah, but they say go and buy oil from someone else, not
Yeah.
from us.
Yeah, no, not from them. From
Not from
someone
us,
else.
from yeah.
Yeah.
So that thing that the other people have, You think that's the right message?
No, of course not.
Okay, so it's not the message. You said they've got the message as well. They haven't
Well,
got the
they
message.
got a message.
Okay, then
Yeah.
we're okay.
If a message
It's a
is not
false
going to
message.
transform you, then it's not the right one.
Yeah. I would argue that it's people coming to us and say, prove what you're doing, because we don't see it. We can't even read what you're reading. Because they don't read the same way we read. That's what I understand that to be.
And what's your response?
I'll have a go, actually. Like, or after about 2 minutes, you realise it's futile. But if you follow the passage, it says, don't waste my time.
Well, don't waste my time seems reasonable, but it's technically, as you're reading it, it sounds like what you're going to say is, go over there and let those people that are lost teach you the message.
Yeah.
No, but
No?
no, but it says go to them, but go rather to them that sell and buy for yourself. So they. What does that mean?
It's the same people they got the oil from in the first place.
Because they go, and they actually go and buy, and they come back with something.
We don't know if they come back with something.
Well, it says, and while they went to, okay.
You don't know if they came back with something. You don't know if they got desperate and they
Just
just walked back because they know it's too late. We don't know what happened with that oil.
Okay, that's true.
Did you have a thought? You said what I thought.
No.
Okay. I think I've read in a Spirit Prophecy commentary on this that it's like the impression is that they're trying to help these people and it's futile because you want to see what it looked like in real life. Because if someone actually came and said, just explain these verses to us, please, you'd probably want to give it a try. But I don't think it works at this stage. That's how I
Maybe
see
a
it.
case where someone's like, okay, I'm on board, and they want to kind of do these, so for want of a better term, like these slapdash studies with you and try and get it quickly, and you're like, it's really too late to it's like their heart's not in the right place. It's like they're kind of desperate, but you know that.
Waste of time. That's what you say.
Not so much as a waste of time, but it's like these things. It requires a man of effort. You can't just give it like that. You have to work for it in that sense. I can't explain it.
Project?
Well, I've had a person recently that, from what I understand, they wanted to come review me about the message that I understood. They'd formerly been in this message. And it wasn't necessarily a friendly relationship, but it wasn't an interaction that could not have went somewhere. But when I attempted to open up the discussion where we could get to the thus saith the Lord and get to the bottom line of the message, they refused to be led. So even though they were there because of the message, under the pretense of upholding the message, they refused to allow any kind of dialogue happen that would allow them to see the message. That happened today.
The Bible says they have ears but they can't hear, and they have eyes but they can't see. So some people can hear the message, but if it doesn't reach them, if they don't want to make an effort to understand or open to it, it will be useless. And that's with the other virgin, because obviously they didn't take the message that seriously to get ready for it.
Can I ask you a question? What happens if you cut someone's ears off?
If you cut someone's
Ears off?
well, I guess,
Do they have ears that cannot hear?
no, it's more,
You don't have to answer it.
yeah.
It's a serious question, but I'm not
No,
I'm expecting an answer. I'm just wondering if you chop someone's ear off,
yeah.
you said having ears they do not hear.
But that's what the Bible said, but
No,
they
I agree.
don't understand the meaning, yeah.
But the Bible also talks about chopping people's ears off. If you chop their ears off, do they have ears to hear?
Yeah, but they might have eyes to see and they have a heart to feel.
No, if you do repeat and enlarge, they're all the same thing.
Yeah,
Eyes and ears are the same thing. So if you chop an ear off, you poke them in the eye.
yeah. But there's people who are blind and deaf and they can still get the message.
Yes, Robert?
Bates is commenting on this. He says, "And the foolish said to the wise, 'Give us of your oil, that is, give us your evidences, your light. We want preparation.' And then he says, 'Buy for yourselves, that is, search your Bibles, pray God for grace to prepare you.' And he says, while they went away, the door was shut. And then he goes on to talk about them knocking on the door and how it was fulfilled in the Millerite history as they questioned the midnight cry message. And then when the door was shut, they completely scoffed and left. I'm thinking, in application in our day, they're saying, give us the evidence. Why are you saying what you're saying? Give us your evidence. But they don't really want it. They don't want the evidence. So people come to you asking, why are you saying this date for that? Why are you doing time setting? Why are you? And then we're saying, well, you need to do it for yourselves. But when we say that, what they're doing is saying, we're going to go away and do it ourselves. And really, God is not saying that in this time. He's saying you need to submit to the teachers that are preaching this. And they're not willing to do that. So they go away and buy for themselves and they're getting in a big mess. And yeah.
That's all. Daniel?
I think the answer is in Revelation 3, chapter 3, verses 18, when Jesus said, "I counsel thee to buy of me." So the virgins must buy anything from Jesus. That's why Jesus said, "I know you not," because they didn't buy from him. No, like, I know my client, and you don't buy from me. I don't know you. You know. So when they go to buy, they buy from anything else, but it's wrong message or anything wrong oil. He didn't buy from Jesus. You know. So Jesus said, "I don't know you because you didn't buy from me."
So let me ask you a question. It's 2018. Who are you buying from?
From Jesus.
Why are you worried?
No, is the answer for the five virgins.
They're the ones that should be worried.
Yeah, no, yes, of course.
So why are you worried?
I'm not worried. It's come to talking about this. That's fine.
Okay, so I'm putting you in the corner. I'm trying to embarrass
I'm
you.
not worried for.
But
I'm worried for me, not for them.
Why are you worried about you if you're getting your oil from Jesus?
No, to get prepared.
No, but if you got your oil from him and you're
Yes,
at the midnight cry
I'm not worried.
and you're filling your bottle,
Exactly, I'm not
why are you worried?
I'm not.
There's nothing to be worried about. The reason we worry is because we think we're in control or the destiny's about in our hands, the future. The people who are worried are the foolish.
Yeah.
Well, the wise were still worried.
Sorry?
The wise were still worried. There was a bit of a panic. The bridegroom had already gone in, and they had to catch up.
Oh, the reason for that is because they got waylaid by those foolish ones. It's that dialogue that delays them. Because when they heard the voice, they clipped, filled it, because they say, "Can we have some of your oil?" And they say it's too late. It's already in the lamps. The lamps are already lit, wicks cut, everything's ready. The delay is because they were messing around talking to these people. That's what delayed them. It's not the trimming or whatever. Everything was good.
But if you maybe read into it, there was a sense of, yeah, they were worried.
I agree with that. The only point I was making was a personal one. Is that, you know, we can worry because we feel unprepared, but the people who should be worried is because they don't have oil and they're trying to get the oil and they're trying to, if you want, like, manufacture it themselves or trying to develop the answers by themselves. But if Jesus is giving you this message, and this message is the midnight cry, if you just sit back and open your mouth and get fed, there actually is nothing to worry about, because who's controlling the timing? God is. Like a parent, he controls when you eat. And all we have to do is not reject. If you constantly accept, our destiny is in his hands. And so there is nothing to worry about, however short a time we've been in here, and whenever we got in the message. We should be scared when we are trying to do things ourselves and we're rejecting the message and we're not listening to it, which is what, to me, this parable is teaching. So no matter how long you've been in the movement, even if it's less than 12 months, you're here and you've caught up 29 years, not even 29 months, it's like maybe 29 weeks, a bit longer. It's really a short amount of time, but it doesn't matter because God is feeding you. He's providing the oil.
Jesus said, "Fear not, I'm with you always." So I think that's the key. If He's with us always, we shouldn't fear if we are with Him.
He also says, "Fear God."
Okay, so we need to come to an end. I hope we've all enjoyed this camp meeting. For those of us who have only been here a day or so, I hope you feel envious of us, that you missed some great time, fellowship, and the joy of studying together. It's rare that you can come to a prophecy school and engage at this, if I could call it casual or intimate level. I hope you've all enjoyed this, this style. Maybe
Next one's June.
next one is June. Maybe next one hopefully is June. We could do it. Other places could do it like this. I know it's difficult for the camera and whatever, but I hope you've all enjoyed it. Just want to mention one thing. We've been talking about Watertown this week, and I don't know if we all noticed that last time we came here, when the Midnight Cry message was first given in 2014, the date of that prophecy school that was given to us was the 21st of December, which is the very date that we started this prophecy school 4 years on, and we're now at the Midnight Cry. So what I found interesting was, when we started talking about Watertown, there's a part of the country, this country, that some people live in, and it's called the district where there are lots of lakes. Some people call it Lakeland, but often it's called the Lake District. It'd be a good equivalent of Watertown. And we know that at Exeter, when the Midnight Cry was being given, one of the tools that the enemy used to drown out the presentations was in that tent of Watertown, they would play music quite loud to try and distract and drown out the message and distract them. So it should be no coincidence that people from Lakeland are here with us, outside of our tent, playing music to distract us. 4 years to the day. When we talk about timing, God is in control of everything. So it's a privilege for us to be here. If you were here 4 years ago, and even if you weren't, it's still a privilege to experience I guess the 21st century equivalent of exactly what happened at Exodus. At Exodus, if you were wondering what it looked like when people are playing music, trying to distract us, and they kind of like melt away. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your goodness and mercy. Lord, may each of us, as we kneel before you, be thankful for the great privilege of being here. Lord, we want to thank you for those people who have put forth great effort to both organise the school, those who have fed us, those who have taken care of the logistics. There are people, Lord, who have paid for us to be here. We thank you for all of this ministry that people have done in whatever shape or form it comes in. Lord, each of us who have partaken of the blessing that you have given to us, as we have experienced a small taste of what Exeter would have been like, Lord, may each of us go away from this camp meeting filled with your Holy Spirit, excited to share the Midnight Cry message with those with whom we come in contact, our friends and our relatives. Lord, for those of us who are going to be travelling on our various journeys, we ask that you would be with them and bless them. Some back to work, some back to home, some on to future prophecy schools. Lord, we want to thank you for all that you have done for us. You've brought us all together after 4 years. It's our hope and our prayer that sometime soon that we can all come together again, but we leave all of those things in your hand. Please be with us, continue to guide and direct us through this evening until we break camp tomorrow. All these things we pray and ask for in Jesus' name. Amen. I don't know if, before we all go